So my name's Arthur. I'm a mechanic. I've been with Truck Up going on 3 months. Great company. I love what I do. I love interacting with people and being able to solve their everyday problems. So I was on Indeed putting in applications, and then one day I got a text message. I believe it was from David, and we went back and forth, back and forth. It took some time to get the truck because another guy had it and quit working. So the truck had set for a while. It needed to get tagged again. The tags were out on it. So it took me a while to get started with them, but it's been great. I love it. So I've been a mechanic, roadside mechanic for about 20 years. I worked for Chalk Mountain Services for about 10 years. I've mainly been in the oil field my whole life, just up in Midland, Texas, working on trucks. And I just moved home to help the wife with the kids and everyday needs that needed to be. Came to a point where I couldn't be gone all the time no more. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise to come across and get this job. So really, I like it all. There's nothing that I can't do that I'm scared of doing. I do electrical jobs, engine jobs, tires, you name it. When it comes to a heavy semi truck, there's pretty much nothing I can't do. So you would see great customer communication, great interact with the customer, keeping them up to date on what I'm doing, how long the process is going to take, where I've got to travel to get parts to and from the job site. Just keeping the customer up to date, and just pretty much just establishing a good communication and doing a good work performance. I don't like to come back on something that I messed up on. I like to do a good job and move on to the next one. So the green truck, I had to go to San Antonio and pick it up from a guy. From the time that David had called him and told him that he needed to go ahead and clean the truck out and surrender it, and it took me 3 weeks. So I got the truck. And long story short, I ended up getting the truck one day. I brought it home. It sat for about 2.5 weeks till the plates came in the mail, the registration stickers, insurance came in the mail. It sat here in front of the house. And then after that, I started working it. All my mechanic tools, they're in the side door of the truck. I keep all my tools. Everything stays on that truck. I don't take nothing off of it. If I take something off, I'll leave without having it, and then that's just a chaos that I try to prevent from happening. But I've got about $10,000 worth of tools that I keep on that truck, and the truck stays parked in front of my house right there. And then it's got a surveillance camera that watches it right there too, sitting on the barbecue pit. So yeah, I've got a lot at stake to lose, so I do the best I can to keep tabs on it. So working for a truck up, I'm pretty much my own boss. I work when I want to work. My hours are set to whatever I desire to set them at. Like for instance, my hours are set from 8 to 6, but after 6, I usually log back into the app and make it available just because I like to work, and if I can get extra income coming in on top of my normal hours, that's a plus for me. Pretty much just being my own boss. I don't have nobody breathing over my neck, harassing me or nothing. When I show up, it's just me and the customer, and I get to work, and I just do the best that I can do and let them know. I even if they have an issue, I address it, and if I see something along the way, I also point it out to them just so they're informed or aware of it, and I just continue on till I'm done. So my first truck up job was a jump start. So I left my house in Pleasanton and I traveled about 45 miles into San Antonio and went and jump started a truck. The guy ended up leaving some lights on inside the sleeper and it killed his battery. So the time it took me to get there, drive from there to there, was about an hour. And then I was there about another 30 minutes, just let my truck charge his batteries, and it fired up. And I filled out the app on my phone, got paid, and we parted ways. The customer was happy, and that was pretty much it for that one. So the worst job I ever did was about 3 weeks ago. I went and did a manifold or exhaust manifold gasket job on a truck that was just covered, had been neglected. It was just covered in oil. The guy was a pain in the rear. He's real picky about his truck. So he stood over me like a hound dog. It was out in the middle of the sun, no shade trees. I didn't take a canopy with me. I ended up having to scrape off the old manifold gaskets, put new ones on it. Then I had to wait for him to go get parts because I had to do the turbo gaskets, oil tube hose. Ended up having to get a clamp to replace the clamp for his breather. And that job took longer than what it should have done. I was there 6 hours and I should have been in and out in about 2.5, 3 hours. But because the owner was there. He had 1,000 questions, and it prevented me from pretty much getting my job done in a timely manner. I had to stop and answer each one of his questions. I'd move on to something else. He had a question, so that was pretty much the worst job I've had since I've been with Truck Up. Once in a blue moon. That's since I've been there for 3 months. I think that's been the worst one. All the other ones have been pretty easy. Usually, I don't get a customer that comes out there and sits there and tries to hold my hand till I'm done. I go do my job, and when I'm done, I'll call them. They'll come out, go drive the truck, or they'll see if the improvements have been finished, and then we move on. So I went and did a job last week. It was the customer had bypassed the air dryer on his truck and just hooked it direct, and it had filled his air tanks full of water. It had filled his air lines full of water. He had water coming out of his where his airbags were be on his truck. He had water coming out of there. It was just a mess trying to save themselves money by bypassing it. And I wasn't able to get that job finished. I was able to get him off the road by supplying him air from my truck, but I wasn't able to fix that one. So I kind of walked away with my head down on that one. They ended up having to get it towed. It was just too much wrong with it. No, I can't tell you though. Just this morning, I went and helped a truck driver on the side of the road that had a blown heater hose. I went and bought the hose and I fixed it for him and filled his truck full of antifreeze. And before I left, he just said, "I'm a son of Jesus." He gave me a Jesus bracelet to put on, a couple of Jesus to put it in my pocket. Walked over to the front of my truck with his Bible. He blessed it and said, "Carry on with yourself, son." And I said, "All right." Got paid and we parted ways. I would tell them absolutely go for it. Go for it. I would tell them to go for it. And like I said, it would be slow depending on what location they're at if they were to jump on board with us. But just to be patient, the work will come in. I just have a passion for it. I just love doing it. I just love interacting with people, meeting people, just being able to help people when they're in a time of crisis and get them back on the road. A truck driver is everything to them is time is money, and when they're down, they're not making no money, so they can't feed their families.